Hello, everybody. Sorry it took a little bit for me to come online. I was just waiting for YouTube to give me the green light. Um, so it's June, and why I called it June Madness? Because I've been talking to more and more of you, be it through just plain messages or emails, or sometimes through video chat, through Facebook Messenger. And it seems that we are all experiencing some form of or another of mental distress. I don't know how to call it otherwise. Hi, Gayleen. Due to everything that's been going on in the world in the last, since the beginning of the pandemic and everything that followed. And I want to discuss a little bit about it, and hopefully it would be something that will be helpful to you. Of course, I will talk about my challenges in this, because I do have challenges like everybody else, so let's start first a little bit with what happens what impact all kinds of psychological issues interfere with our creativity. Because normally art is used as a therapy, especially for depression, for anxiety and things like this. But what do you do when those feelings actually stop you from creating? Because it is, and I hear it more and more from more and more of my artists and crafters friends. The main thing here is that the problem that is, and see, our brain is essentially wired for negativity, and that comes from the basic instinct of survival. We are born to look out for anything that might hurt, damage, or kill us, obviously. So that would be the old law of the jungle, law of nature and everything. But extrapolating it to the present day, and the extrapolation is done because, let's make a quick detour. Like, it's, the law, the law of the jungle, the survival of the fittest. Hi, Wendy. And it's all the same way as in a prehistoric era. The fittest were the ones that were able to hunt or gather the most and defend their tribe. Nowadays, it's the ones who are able to make the most money and support themselves and their family. It's the exact same thing, only that the fruit of that, it's different. So it's the same with what we are going through. We are not scared anymore of a lion coming out of the jungle to eat us, or a rock falling on us, or things like that. But we are worried about the pandemic. We are worried about the threat of nuclear war. We are worried about the financial crisis. We are worried about the chain, the supply chain being disrupted, not being able to find food. We are worried about, us in America especially, shootings. So it's the same thing, but the parameters are the same. Sorry. Hi, Darla. But they are translated to the present day era. And so we are going through, as I said, our brain is wired for negativity, is wired to look for things that might harm, maim, or kill us. So how do we overcome that? Because generally speaking, one of the hardest things to overcome are behaviors that are triggered by basic instincts. You know, kind of like smoking. It's very hard to give up, not only because of the addictive potential of nicotine, but also because the simple act of smoking, of puffing, of sucking on a cigarette to inhale the smoke, reawakens in the brain the center that makes us, as infants, suckle, so survive. It's a basic instinct. So what do we do about that? Number one is all these kind of behaviors, the fear, the anxiety, depression, and all kinds of changes in behavior, changes in lifestyle, because fear and anxiety and all that doesn't come just with I'm afraid and that's it. No, it can come with sleep disorder, it can come with substance addiction, it can come with food addiction, all kinds of other things. So all of this is fear. Number one, let's tackle the fear a little bit. Fear is mostly appears when there's something that you cannot control. And I talked about this whole take control issue before when I was talking about how to cope, mechanisms of coping with an illness, a chronic illness, and things like that. And this is the same here. So we need to find something that can help us take control. And if it is about changing our lifestyle and changing our behavior, so be it. But we need to be careful how we change our lifestyle and our behavior that would be beneficial, not something that is actually harming us in the end. So it is okay to give you the simplest example. It is okay to be more or less in isolation, but not to the detriment of not having any kind of social interaction. You are all on YouTube. You are all using some form of device that can connect to the internet. So be it a laptop, a PC, an iPod, an iPad, a phone, whatever. So make, maybe not necessarily friends, but make sure that you have at least one person. Preferably is to have like 2 or 3 people that you can talk to and preferably it is through video chat, because that's when you have the most, your psyche perceives most as interaction, at least twice a week. The other thing is, even if you are living mostly in isolation, still try to find a place that you perceive as safe in which you are outside, or at least if you cannot be outside, because this is something that has been it's a problem that has been raising, and I'm talking medically, in the last couple of years. You will not get, if you don't go outside, at least take vitamin D3, because if you don't go outside at all, or hardly ever, you will start losing the vitamin D3. You will not get it anymore. Remember that the human body does not produce this vitamin, and the only way that it can get it is from sunlight exposure. That doesn't mean that you have to tan yourself. You can be under a roof, under a porch, stuff like that, or just take supplements. And this is very important, because I know that most of my viewers are over 45 years old, and we are in that stage of the life where we lose bone mass. And if you don't have enough vitamin D, no matter how much calcium you take, you will not have enough bone. You're going to start losing bone, and you're going to go through osteopenia and oh my god, this is the worst brain fart ever. Osteoporosis. I don't know, it was just coming to me, osteoarthritis. But yeah, that is one of the major things for osteoarthritis as well. But be very careful with that. There are other things that you can do, and talking of which, yes, it helps support good immune response as well. Talking of which, also trying to get control of your life. I was talking about before. Okay, I'm getting older, I have chronic fatigue, I have chronic pain, and I'm not talking necessarily about just myself, right? I'm talking about somebody in the same age range with a lot of similar issues. And because I feel so fearful and anxious and depressed all the time, hi Carol, I don't feel like doing anything, and my house is a mess, and so on and so forth. Well, start with doing one thing a day. Doesn't matter if it is a huge thing or a small thing. Start with that. Even if it would be divide your living room into 3 sections, and every day dust one of the sections, or make sure you wash the dishes every day, things like that. And keep doing that, and slowly you will see improvement in your surroundings. And then after about a month of doing that, maybe even earlier, depends on how you feel psychologically, start doing 2 things a day. Very important, do not get stuck into the, oh, I did one thing today, I'm good to go. No, because you need to progress. It won't be much if you do one thing a day for months. You're not going to see much improvement in your surroundings. But try to do, maybe don't go exactly. And I'm going to talk about this, Galen, here in a minute. Um, so this is a measure of control. The other thing is, um, as I said, talking about behavioral risk in front of the risk. Try to get some control into that, but without affecting your well-being. So this thing with try to get at least one person, preferably two, with whom you do video chatting. The other thing is, a lot of us, I noticed in my various talks with people again, kind of postponing, and it's a matter of, it's kind of like a snowball effect. The more you withdraw from society, the less willing you are to interact with people. And it gets to the point that I see people who need to make a phone call to solve an issue in their life. I don't know, simple thing like, their phone bill came up too high, or they need their kitchen faucet, it's dripping and they need it fixed. They'd rather go without dealing with that just because they have to talk to somebody. And again, this is a very dangerous, vicious circle. You have to, I'm not saying that you have to necessarily talk to everybody and try to make friends absolutely with somebody, because you will be met with rejection if you come too forcefully on somebody. But I am sure that you can find, and a lot of you are in groups on Facebook, and they have Facebook friends. Just put out a call out there, I'm interested generally in this, and this, and I am looking for a chatting partner, a virtual visiting thing, and that will help you. You will not believe how much it helps you. Just don't get dependent on it, because I've seen that happening also with people that, especially the ones who have a more addictive personality, that, and again, I said it's be very careful about that. It kind of need to talk, especially with a person that makes them feel more secure. They kind of start badgering. So be careful, don't do that. If you need to talk to somebody and you already talked to one person yesterday, try to talk to somebody else, okay? So very careful, because everybody has their own issues, and you don't want to lose a potential virtual friend just because you come across as needy. About the financial situation, about the threat of nuclear war, about the whole shootings, I can tell you what you can do is to take control and change your behavior on what you can. And to give you an example, I had restarted my daily walks early in the morning, but I stopped it because of all these shootings. And it's not like, hey, I'm an old woman who's just walking on the street. Who the heck will want anything to do with me? There have been so many drive-by shootings by people who just do that for fun, that I'm like, I'd rather not put my life in danger. I might be paranoid about it. Whatever. It's my own personal response to the perceived risks. So what I'm doing, if it's nice outside, if it's not raining, I walk around my backyard. Some of you might not have a backyard because you live in apartments, but when it's raining and I cannot walk outside, I just walk around my living room, and I do long walks between my living room, kitchen, laundry room, and back, and I'm just going by the clock. I'm not counting how many times, and sometimes I might even take the phone with me with a earpiece and listen to some audiobook or something like that. So try to do that no matter what. And coming to this, it's very important that you do some kind of the news can bring you down horribly. Make sure you do some kind of physical activity. And I'm not talking about, oh, I vacuumed, so I did a lot of physical activity. That's enough for me. I don't need to do more. Actually, no, that's not enough. And I know most of you will not have the motivation to do it, but you need to have a little bit of, and I'll explain why in a second here, a little bit of structured physical activity. And the best thing to do is, I found this is the easiest for me, and remember that I have a lot of physical handicaps. I just sit in the doorway, and first I do stretching. I do need stretching, and all of us do need stretching, and I do all that, trying to reach the top of the doorway, then go try to reach the left, go try to reach the right, all that kind of stuff. And then I will start doing, I cannot really do crunches. I cannot do that at all. So what I do, I just hold on to the doorway, and I just bring my knees up, and I just do so many repetitions. Let's say I do that for 5 minutes, and I might do that again in the afternoon for 5 minutes. But why do you need to do that in a structured way? It also comes from the need for control in order to appease your anxiety and fear and depression. Because when you have to vacuum, think about it. Let's say I need to vacuum and I'm hurting, I'm not really in the mood, so I'm going to look at that as another thing that is out of my control, but I have to suffer through it because this is another bad thing in my life. So all that, whatever you see as a workout when you're vacuuming, is not really because your brain doesn't perceive it as such. It's something that's, again, out of your control. While if you do some kind of structured stuff that you control, you decide when, you decide how, that's going to help. It's just a matter of psychology. And then when it comes to, hold on, I made myself a little, the thing with I've heard a lot of ladies talking about how much weight they've gained, how much, well, it's of course the thing with lack of exercise. Then it's the thing with, I don't know, I forgot how it's said in German. I completely forgot the words, but it's a saying that goes something like, I don't eat because I'm hungry, I eat because my mouth is getting bored. So it's that. So generally speaking, you can do one of two things. Get some kind of snack that is very low calorie but fairly filling. If you're not on any kind of restrictive diet, one thing that I always recommend is popcorn. If your stomach doesn't and your intestines don't go good with corn in general, you can always try rice cakes. Or better is just drink a full mug of green tea. Not coffee, because that's a diuretic and that's not going to do very good to you, but green tea is an excellent immune system boosting, and it has all kinds of awesome benefits for your body. And if you don't have green tea, just drink water. And you're going to, all that feeling of I need to eat something because I'm bored is going to go away. Or the other thing is, it's like with smoking, for example. You need to interrupt the pattern. A lot of us have started binge watching TV and munching on stuff when we are binge watching. So try to break the connection, because after a while of doing this, your brain will start telling you, oh, you've been here watching this for 20 minutes, it's time to get a snack. So do one of the two things. Either you continue watching but don't eat, drink green tea, drink water, or if you want to eat, stop watching, go eat somewhere else, walk a little bit. So stop the connection that your brain started to make as a routine. If I'm watching TV, I need to eat. So that is very, very important. There are many things, but going back to, and I've been talking about that, how nurturing and creation helps you mentally, especially if you are suffering of depression. Now with depression here, there's a fine line between actual depression and stress depression and temporary depression, and what is thought, what the person might think that is depression when it is not. And back in the day when I was consulting, my main thing to ask my patients was, do you feel unhappy? Do you feel sad? Hi, Janine. And it depended a lot on that, because you might feel unmotivated, you might feel think that you're depressed, you might feel like there's no reason, there's no but in fact you do not really feel unhappy, you do not really feel sad. More or less you feel lost and unable to cope with what's going on. Doesn't matter if it's outside influence or your own thing, chronic pain and other things. That is a type of, won't find a lot it in books, but in my experience, the way that I dealt with it, it's what I would call a temporary depression. And once you start taking some form of control of your life, it will diminish a lot. Now, when it comes to creativity, there's a lot of for artists, there already is a type of anxiety, a type of creative anxiety, and that existed before this whole pandemic, before this whole thing is, and it stems from not trusting yourself and what you're doing, like the creative block, like not being sure if you're going to achieve what is in your mind in real life. Like you're not going to be able to come up with a good idea, like oh my god, I spent several $100s on these materials. What if what I'm making is not going to be up to par? And what if nobody will like it? What if I'm going to get only criticism? What if I'm going to make this and nobody's going to buy it? So that was the creative anxiety, the artist anxiety. And that you can call it a type of false evidence if you want, but it is a fear of success, yes, too. I've dealt with that a lot. And that can be dealt sometimes not, but most of the time with that can be dealt with taking a break. But when you put everything else on top of it, you risk getting into a permanent break, and you kind of need to do a paradigm shift, the whole thing, go back to the therapeutic quality of art and creativity, even if it is not about actual creation of something very important. And I know exactly what you're talking about, Galen, because I did have days in which I would come here in my exactly, Beth, I would come here in my craft room, and I would start getting some clay to start doing something, and then it's like it drops out of my hand and I don't feel like doing anything, So in the beginning, what I was doing was to just go and try and do something else. But after that, what I started doing is, okay, I don't feel like doing anything, so I would force myself to condition clay. Just condition some clay. After a while, I started taking care of my mud clay, just mixing, and then I started making bases, like for box bases. Remember, I made a couple tutorials showing how to make box bases without leaving the base inside, or spheres, or cover eggs with polymer clay, something. Another good thing that helps is, if you don't feel like you're creative, organize some of your crafting materials. Organizing and putting in order, again, it's a mechanism for your brain to feel that it has control. Having control gives you that feeling of well-being that might bring back the creativity. Another thing that you can do is to try, remember that I was talking about creation and nurturing. Try to do a little bit of nurturing. If you have a garden, that helps. If not, you can get a house plant and try to do that. A very good thing, and that is very good for your health as well, is to buy, and it depends. If you are a breast cancer survivor like me, you can try that with broccoli seeds. But anyway, you can do that with wheat. Just buy some bulk wheat and then have 3 plates. Hi Sharon, have 3 plates, and in one of them put some wheat and cover it completely with water and leave it there. The second day you do the same with the second plate. The third day you do the same with the third plate. By the third day, by the time you get to the third plate, your wheat in the first plate is germinating. So there you go. You have wheat germ. Yes, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I want to try, and I'm not setting those aside because if I don't get around to do them, it frustrates me. It's not a good coping mechanism for me. It may be for you, and everything that I'm telling you might not work for you, but try and find your own. Okay, and you can do the same with broccoli sprouts that have, John Hopkins Breast Cancer Center did a study several years ago, and they found actually there is a benefit that not even the supplement that they did, the extract of broccoli sprouts, doesn't have as much as, hold on, and I'm going to give you a link. Okay. And it prevents all kinds of stuff, but essentially it's I'm going to link to you one of the things, but there is actually a an extract. Might not. Right, the extract does not have as many good things in it as the fresh broccoli sprouts, and I've known that from my breast cancer surgeon, who I told you used to be the director of John Hopkins Breast Institute, and then I don't know how much they paid him to come to Oklahoma City to the OU Breast Cancer Center, but he was part of that study, and he recommended me. And with broccoli sprouts you will need like 4 plates, because kind of like you eat one and you reseed. But yeah, and that will help you. Why is that? Because that would help you nurture. You're gonna nurture those things, or start growing something that can grow inside. There are tomato plants. There are, falling tomato plants that you can grow inside, as long as they are near a window, then they can get some sun. There are strawberries that do that as well. So you can grow herbs, and believe me, fresh stuff in your food gives you a sense of well-being. So if you cannot create, try to divert for a while to organizing and still making something, even if it's not super creative. Like I told you, making blanks for bangles, making blanks for boxes, even if you make some blanks for pendants. And if not, turn on to nurturing, and that still works. You can try another thing that also works. For me, for example, and because the thing is to turn to a different art or craft, have something ready for a different art or craft, especially for artists that do YouTube videos, that go to venues, that sell a lot online. There's a lot of pressure and it can make them burn out. And this is one of the most recommended things for stuff like that. And you might feel burnout even if you're not one of these artists or crafters, but turn to a different form. For example, I have, for me personally, and I don't have a whole bunch of materials, I just got the strictly necessary. Okay, one of them is watercolor painting, and I just have a couple watercolor trays and a book of watercolor paper and felting. And I just got one of those simple, cheapy felting kits. So it's something that even if I don't feel like doing polymer clay, I can turn around and still do something. And try and find what is your niche. It might be crocheting, it might be knitting, it might be scrapbooking, it might be just simply painting, redecorating a cabinet in your house, or a table, or an old frame. Remodel it completely. You can get, if you have frames in your house, you can change their colors. You can change. It's also a matter of changing your surroundings. There's a lot of ways of dealing with that. But remember that the essential part of it is that you might want to work into taking control. Now, if the answer to the quilting, sewing, embroidering, whatever, and it doesn't matter if you're good at it or not, as long as you're able to do something, that's your main thing. Find the side art or craft that makes you want to do something, and then you can go back to whatever you didn't want to do something in before. But as I was saying, if the answer to are you unhappy, if the answer is yes, then I'm afraid that you'll have to talk to your doctor and get a psychologist to do. And nowadays they mostly do that with telehealth, so you shouldn't have to get out of the house if that is something that is part of your fear and anxiety. And it depends, because a psychologist will be able to figure out if you have an actual physical issue that needs to be addressed, because on some of us, for example, in chronic pain, depression can appear in some thyroid issues, and there can be actual physical illnesses that can cause depression, and that's a different thing. Those need to be treated. Or if it's something that just counseling can help you with. So that is your main thing. Exactly. And getting started is the main challenge, but that's why I'm talking about. Try to get it started as it is in your control. The way that I generally look at it, it's like I try to create a type of dichotomy between my body and my mind, and it's like, because for me it helps if I'm challenged. If I'm challenged and somebody tells me you cannot do it, I'm like, watch me, So I'm trying to create a dichotomy between my body and my mind, and I'm telling the body, oh, you don't want me to do that? I'll make you do it. Things like that. But again, that works for me. For you, you might have to try a different approach. So yeah, I'm going to very shortly go through some clay stuff, because I know that a lot of you wanted me to do some more pep talks, and this was a pep talk, and I know that I decided to do it because I've been hearing it more and more and more and more and more, and I wanted to tell you, you're not alone. Most of us are like that, me included. It is hard to get out of it. It's not easy because things are not going better out there. So if that's not getting better, it's getting worse. It's getting harder and harder to cope with, obviously. So talking about polymer clay, I wanted to let you know that Cost Clay now has transparent. I didn't order it yet. I'm still trying to finish paying my real estate taxes. I'm still hard on that. I wanted to let you know, I said about it the last time. Remember that Trish at PolyClay Play is going to start doing again the let me get back and see if it's there, the best flexible molds, because of the supply chain problem, she wasn't able to get the silicone rubber that she was using for making the molds, but now she's able to get it again, so she will be able to do them again. And let me see if she's got more. I'm going to let her know which are the most requested, and let me know yourself which of them you think you want the most. But generally speaking, one of the things that I'm being asked, and it was no further than yesterday that I talked to somebody, and you can find that on my Amazon influencer store, the matter of how toxic polymer clay is to the hands. And as long as you wash your hands, it's fine. I was talking at one point, I was telling you that I personally use lava soap, and I've seen some artists recommending to use cream to clean your hands. You don't want to do that, because if you put cream on your hands after you worked with polymer clay, all you do is to facilitate all that silicone oil to be absorbed by your body. So no, wash your hands really good. If you don't have lava soap, just use regular soap and then put some cream on your hands, because yes, polymer clay can dry your hands, and you have to be very careful about that. Otherwise, what kind of other measures, asking what kind of other measures I should take for my health and safety when doing any kind of stuff with polymer clay. Number one, make sure that wherever you bake your clay, it's well ventilated. I cannot stress this enough, and especially if you work with Kato. Some of the fumes you might not be able to smell, but trust me, they are there. The other thing is, wear a mask, and now we all have masks. Wear a mask if you're working with mica powders, especially if it's something that you need to brush on, because it might not sound like much. You're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna inhale a little bit of dust, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, but if you do that repeatedly, or depending on the state of your lungs, it might not be a good idea. Also, when you work with resin, make sure that you're in an area that is well ventilated. Some of you have noticed that especially the UV resin smells sometimes pretty strongly. It's reminiscent of acetone. But yeah, those are fumes. Those can affect your eyes. They can affect your lungs. So make sure that you're in a ventilated area. When it comes to contact, one of the very important things is whenever you work with UV resin, if it touches your skin, make sure that you clean it very good with alcohol first. I mean, if it's a bigger blob, of course, use something to remove it, and then clean that finger with alcohol, and then go and wash your hands with lava soap, because UV resin, when it cures, it heats up. And if by any chance you are in a lit room, or you go outside and you still have any kind of UV resin residue on your skin, you're gonna get burned. So that is for sure. So very careful with that. When it comes to ventilated and clay, that is valid also for liquid clay. Some of it has less fumes than others, some has more, but it's still a good idea to be in a ventilated area. That is also valid for whenever you're using your heat gun, not just when you're baking, because heating the clay, the heat gun bakes the clay, and we all do the cracked effect and stuff like that. So very careful about that. And that would be pretty much it. If you have any other questions, remember that you can always contact me either through the community tab on YouTube, or on Facebook, or through email me through my website. And I did put the poll in the community tab on YouTube about what you want to see next, and we'll get to that. Whichever has the most percentage, we'll get to that. But tomorrow we are going to do a mokumegane, a stamped mokumegane, as well as a constructed mokumegane that would be very summer-like. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you'll start working on your mental well-being. I am struggling myself with that. Again, it's not like I am immune and I'm a ray of sunshine. A lot of people have in the past accused me of being a pessimist, and I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. I mean, I'm not seeing the only the bad in things, but I do see the bad in things. I don't avoid it, because if you don't recognize a problem, you'll never be able to solve it. In order to solve something, you must first admit it, that yeah, the problem is there and it needs to be solved. Okay, thank you so much. Don't forget to thumbs up. Please don't forget to use my Amazon influencer store link whenever you order something from Amazon. It's not going to affect your prices in any way, but it helps me in getting materials and having giveaways. And don't forget to use my affiliate link with PolyClay Play. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow at 12:30 Central Time, PM, 12:30 p.m. Central Time. So that would be 11:30 for the East Coast, and it would be 1:30 for the East Coast, sorry, and 9:30 for California, and I hope I didn't mess that up. Anyway, I need more coffee. Okay, yeah, we'll do, as I said, we'll do two. One that would be a stamped one, and one that would be a created one. Okay? See you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful Saturday. Bye.